How you doing, people? Welcome back to another ESO build video. Today is a brand new update to the eagerly awaited ESO Sorc, the one that started it all, the one that was responsible for making everyone want to use heavy attacks on a Sorcerer. This is not using subclass, and this is pure Sorcerer and full of lightning. Back to its original roots. You are going to love this. Stay tuned for more of this. So what's happened over time? Over the last 8 years of this particular build, this has gave birth to the Lazy Sorc, which is the 1-bar variant of this particular build. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's the 1-bar version of this, because people couldn't always use 2 bars. And this is designed initially to be easy, capable of all content, and to strip stuff down complexity-wise to give people more time to see mechanics. But at the same time, taking advantage of Sorcerer aesthetics, that being lightning. So this is full of lightning. But before you worry about what you should and shouldn't do and whether you should or shouldn't go into trials and all that kind of stuff, do not worry. This is not using any trial gear. None. None at all. Even though the original was, this is not. No trial gear whatsoever. So this is all base game. Yes, all of the features tied to this particular build that we're going to explore are base game, including the gear, the skills, and the customizable skills. So, we're going to go into the stats very briefly, first of all, and we're going to go into here. I'm going to show you that you need 64 points into maximum magicka, unless, of course, you're using a stamina-based race, in which case you could probably get away with stamina, but you don't need to. And the Thief Munderstone, along with flat food. Max magicka, max health. That's it. The stats themselves, bloody useless. Why? Because they will change, they will fluctuate, they will be better or worse depending on the content you're in or the group you're with. And if you are aiming to get that stat sheet exactly as it is when it's at peak, all you need to do is make the actual build. You don't need to try and pretend that you're smart enough to try and figure out what other sets you can put in place to get the same stats. Because there are things that apply on this build that don't show in the stats. So if you just match the numbers, you're missing out on the stuff you should be aiming for, which is, quite frankly, making the build. Now, you'll be pleased to know that the gear section is coming up now, and this is technically soloable. Most of it. Basically, the old setup works perfectly fine if you want to stick to it, but this is made to be very, very simple. There are 2 different variations to the build. One will crack about 100k on a target dummy if you're really good. The other one won't crack 100k. It will be very, very high, and it will be more than enough to do all of the content in the game, including the hard modes, and you will fly through the content flawlessly as long as you know how to play. Is this going to hit 150k? No, of course it's not. It's not designed that way. It is designed to be easy, to be very accessible, to be a hell of a lot of fun, and to work. This is designed with everything in mind. So if that's the sort of build you're looking for, great. Keep listening. I'm going to explain how this all works. If that's not what you're looking for and you're only looking for 150k DPS, you know you came to the wrong place. Leave. We are using Sorcerer sets. So when people scream at you there's no class identity, they're just hiding up their class identity. That's not the same. Weapon and spell damage, and crit chance. When you deal damage with Stormcalling ability when it first fires, you'll spawn a monolith, which is like a conduit on the ground. After every 5th tick of damage or an initial cast again, it will spawn another one, and so on and so forth, up to 3. They will maintain for 10 seconds, so as long as you never turn off your dots, this will continuously run, and you'll have those 3 monoliths all the time. Between them, up to a 28-meter gap, they'll create a link, and they'll do damage every 2 seconds to enemies caught inside of them. All you need to do is basically keep up your skills, and you have shock pillars around the room. Very, very cool set, very, very strong if you know how to use it. We are obviously using it in a way that makes sense. Now, bear in mind, obviously, this is for the Infinite Archive, as is this set here. Both of them are Sorcerer-only sets. No one else in the game can use them. There's your class identity. You cannot use this unless you are a Sorcerer. Every single item is in Divines. They're all in medium apart from the belt, but you can flip that and go with light if you prefer. You don't need to because you're basically done with your crit damage and your extra weapon and spell damage and all that good stuff with this, and you just can take buffs and bonuses for debuffs from the group when it comes to your penetration values. But if you want more, then you can flip it. You will lose crit damage and flat damage, but you'll gain the pen. So it's a trade-off. Now, this particular set here, Beacon of Oblivion, very simple. If you don't have a pet, and we don't, you will have increased damage and healing. 15%. How cool is that? You don't have to do anything. While you have a permanent pet active, you get a buff, which we don't. While you don't have a permanent pet active, you get that instead. So we've got flat damage bonuses and some more health. You can't really lose with that set. There's nothing you need to do. So this one applies Stormcalling abilities, which we are. This one, just be a Sorcerer. No pet. Back bar weapon, we're using Maelstrom. You do not need Perfected. You're not going to be on your back bar long enough to benefit from the pen value, so you do not need Perfected. You can go on normal Maelstrom. Infused with weapon and spell damage. Now we're going to go over these sets quite quickly and explain how you get these. These are really, really simple. Maelstrom, technically speaking, that's from Hrothgar. That's base game and has been for a long time. And then this one here, which is Monolith of Storms and Beacon of Oblivion. Both of them come from another place, which is base game. I know people are confused because it came with Necrom, or is on the Necrom map even, but the Infinite Archive, go to it on the map and click on the door. It's base game. Anyone can go in there. It doesn't have a veteran difficulty. It just increases in difficulty the longer you're in there. So all you need to do is be a sorcerer and go in. You kill bosses, you will get loot in your sticker book for the sorcerer class sets, which is this and this. Be a sorcerer, go kill stuff. You stay in there until you're dead, and then you go again. And that is it. Don't be scared. Solo or group, doesn't matter. You'll still get it. So go in there, get all this stuff. Light the stuff on the front with jewelry on the same set, but it doesn't actually matter. You can put it in any order you want. But make sure you have weapon and spell damage with Bloodthirsty on all three. Now, when it comes to the armor, they're all medium with Magicka and Divines on them, apart from the belt, which is light. We do want one light piece. We use the belt because it's the lowest resistance. And the helmet and shoulders is also base game, which is Alambris. Now, you could argue there's lots of different lightning sets in the game. Yes, there are. You could argue that they're OP as fuck, some of them. Some of them are, but they're not stronger on this build. They were not. This performed incredibly well because of its rapid rate of fire and ease of use. So, we have balanced high damage, incredibly high sustainability, single target, area of effect, sorcerer skills, sorcerer sets, sorcerer scripts, and base game loot. No trials required. This has a target audience. If you are in it, you are going to love this. So, skills. More base game stuff. Because this, yes, I know it's scribing, was introduced to base game. They shifted it. Everybody has it now. So, you need to go to the scribing area, which you will go to on the map, unless you've got this in your house, and you need to go and make the banner. Yes, you have to unlock it, obviously. Now, the way to make it is simple. Unlock the banner. There are ways to do this. There's a scribing guide on the website. Magic damage to improve all magical damage types, so all elements. Class mastery, so you do shock damage in area of effect once every 5 seconds if you don't have a pet. And heroism to increase your ultimate recovery, so you can use your ulti more often. You don't need savagery and prophecy, we've already got it. You don't need minor resolve or protection, we've already got it. You don't need intellect, although that's quite nice, but we've already got it. You don't need brutality and sorcery, we've already got it. Berserk you can get from your group, and courage you can get from your group. Yes, of course you could argue heroism will come from the group, but it's a minor one, it's much easier to get these two. Anyway, that is your banner. That's all you need to do. And basically, you need to have it turned on. If it's on, it works. Anyone inside of that will get the same buffs as you're receiving from it, but it will drain resources every 2 seconds. Turn it off, it doesn't. So, the simple option here is to use it in combat, and when you're out of combat, turn it off. That's it. Maintain that at all times in a fight. Next is also a scribing skill, and this is from the Soul Magic skill line. From scribing, so a base game skill line with now base game options. So, wield soul. Change this into shock damage. Being a sorcerer, we want to take advantage of that. That's an initial hit, which is really, really hard. Class mastery yet again. Yes, we benefit from that area of effect shock twice now. And we've also got empower. This is a flex script. Empower is to benefit us all the time. If we're constantly using this, and we should be, this is your spammable, by the way, heavy fire, heavy fire, heavy fire, you will always maintain uptime on empower, which means your heavy attacks will be 70% stronger against PvE enemies. That is crucial. However, if your group is supplying empower in any way, shape, or form, obviously you don't need this, put resolve on instead. That is your choice. Obviously gauge the situations you're in, but you are going to want empower all the time. All you need to do when you use this skill is to heavy attack first, then fire it. Heavy attack first, then fire it. Easy peasy. So next up is Regenerative Ward. This used to be Hardened Ward. It was changed. Hardened Ward no longer heals, but it gives a bigger damage shield. This is a smaller damage shield, although very impactful, but it does heal you. At the same time, it provides minor intellect and endurance to you and the group, so you've got Magicka and stamina recovery. Now, next is Inner Light. This is simple. This is from the Mage's Guild skill line. Don't need to do anything. Just put it on your bar. That will give you Major Prophecy and Savagery just for being on the bar, at the same time as 5% increase to max Magicka. You don't need to press it. Just leave it there. Next is Lightning Flood. Going back to old school, yes, of course, we've got Lightning Flood. We used to use Liquid Lightning, and if you are rubbish with rotations, don't use this one. Morph it. Change it to Liquid Lightning instead. Liquid Lightning does do less damage, but it lasts 50% longer, so you have less buttons to press. If you want slightly less damage but more uptime, swap it. If you want more damage, maintain this. You'll do absolutely fine. This has a wider area and more damage, so obviously place this under the target at all times. Make sure it never runs out. This will keep up your Monolith of Storm set as well. Either version is up to you. If you still can't place things very well, if you can't manage it, if your survival is suffering, and if you haven't chosen to take Resolve with this particular skill and you are using Empower, then of course you can swap Lightning Flood for Hurricane. You'll get the same results as far as your Monolith of Storms is concerned, as long as you stay close to the target. You will benefit from Major Resolve, and it costs stamina, which is easier to maintain as a single skill rather than loads and loads of spammable ones, but it will do damage the more this is running. So it will last 20 seconds, and the larger the circle gets, the more damage it does. Again, the choice is yours. This doesn't necessarily do more DPS than the Lightning Flood, but it is quite close and is probably easier for some people to maintain because it carries a resistance buff and they're more likely to pay attention to it, and it lasts longer. Your choice. Lightning Flood or Hurricane. If you want the Lightning, obviously take advantage of this one. If you're rubbish at it, use the other one. One minor perk to this particular skill, they changed it so that the conduit synergy that comes from it can be fired by you. So yes, you've got another Lightning proc. You've got Lightning here, twice here actually, once on the initial hit, plus the class one here, Lightning here, all over the place, plus of course the synergy. Got Greater Storm Atro, which is in the Storm Calling skill line, or Daedric Summoning even. This is your main ultimate, but you can swap this for Fighter's Guild if you prefer. If you want the ulti return from getting kills, put Fighter's Guild on here, have Dawnbreaker. But if you want to make sure this is all shock all the time and you've always got this pet handy, put the pet here. The difference is minimal as far as damage output is concerned, because the Fighter's Guild passes will give you a bonus to weapon and spell damage, but this will give you a flat extra bonus to weapon and spell damage for being on the bar anyway. They're not exactly the same, but one is flat and one is a percentage, so eventually they're not that far apart. So it is your choice. But this is a very, very good skill and does come with Major Berserk, so your group can take that, and then everybody gets buffed. So it's a trade-off. Back bar, Bound Aegis. This is quite simple. This is in the Daedric Summoning skill line as well. While on the bar, on either bar, you will get Minor Resolve and Minor Protection at all times. Bear in mind, if you activate this and then block, your block mitigation is up by 50%, so you take far less damage, but that is a little bit advanced. Basically, just leave it there. Leave that on the bar, on the back bar, and it covers you for both. Wall of Elements, obviously, is your bread and butter of this particular setup. That has to be on the ground at all times, alongside your Lightning. 2 Lightning skills, how cool, with a synergy. Now, you need a heavy attack inside of this, all the time. Since we're using Lightning, you need to understand how it works. This will do shock damage every 1 second. Enemies that are caught in a concussed state, which is a status effect from Lightning, which we will do a lot, they will be pushed off balance for 7 seconds, meaning you will do more damage to them, you'll get more resources back, and yes, it stacks with Empower. So it's pretty damn strong. If you heavy attack an off-balance target while empowered, you will do a lot of damage. If you miss that opportunity, then you're missing a huge part of the build. So make sure you always heavy attack off-balance targets, and you want to push off-balance as much as you can. Bear in mind, once this is finished, it will pop, which means it does extra damage in area of effect with shock, and you can reapply it afterwards. Or if you reapply it while it's still running, that shock burst will go off and it will reapply the skill and start it again. If you're not very good at rotations and you can't maintain the timers, you will get less damage doing this, but it'll be more consistent. You can swap the morph to the other one. The other one has a wider range or a longer range, and it has a longer duration. Again, it doesn't have the burst at the end, so you will suffer with that part of the skill. But if you want it for the sake of maintaining things for longer without pressing as many buttons, Wall of Elements and Lightning Flood can be swapped to their other morph. Again, you will get less damage, but you'll still be capable of all the content in the game. Next up is Shocking Contingency. We need to go back to the scribing desk over here for this. This is really, really simple and very, very cool. We want to maintain Minor Force because we don't have it. We don't have Beast Trap or anything to confuse people with. Ulfsil's Contingency is a Mage's Guild skill, so yes, it carries Mage's Guild passives. Shock damage initially. Lingering Torment gives it more shock damage over time to those people hit with the initial damage. Then Minor Force. You don't need Beast Trap. Now, this is a weird skill. You have to activate it first to preload it. Now, any action you take that counts as an ability will trigger it, including a dodge roll. So if I activate this again, or activate it on top of it, it will fire again. Or if I activate it and use any other skill, it will fire. So you preload this once every 22 seconds, and your next skill will launch it. That gives you minor force all the time, 10% increase to crit damage, plus a dot on target, or multiple targets. Very, very cool skill. Make sure that you unlock your correct scripts in order to craft that. Now, next up that you just saw me cast is Crit Surge. Very simply put, activate this. It will give you Brutality and Sorcery at all times until it runs out, obviously. Maintain it. Every 1 second that you are aggressive and do damage, if you do crit, you will heal. This, alongside your damage shield, is your survival. Much like the original Easy Sorc, Crit Surge and your damage shield are your bread and butter to survival. Outside of that, Wall of Elements and Lightning, inside heavy attacks, is your main damage source. This will make sense when we get to the rotation. Thunderous Rage, yes, of course, is back on the build. What is cooler than a storm of lightning on a big, big stack of enemies? You could use the pet all the time if you preferred, the Atro, that's your choice. But in big ad pulls where everything is getting messy, drop this on absolutely everybody. You're going to get 9 seconds worth of Lightning Storm, and it does a huge amount of damage. It can apply Concussed, it can do all sorts, alongside all the lightning we've got. The theme here is Sorcerer, Class Identity, and Lightning. Back to the roots of the original Easy Sorc, and this is exactly what it does. Absolutely mental. Can you use Mage's Guild skills? Of course you can, but the Lightning Storm is nuts. That, alongside that, and then your other shocking stuff that's going off, it gets a bit messy. You get the idea. Anyway. Now we're going to go into passives. These are very important. We're going to glaze over these a little bit so we don't spend too much time on them. You can obviously read them in your own time. But Dark Magic reduces the health, magic, and stamina cost of your non-core combat abilities by 6%. Obviously, we want that. Your skills are cheaper. When you cast a Dark Magic ability, next, we're not using it. After blocking an attack, your next health, magicka, or stamina ability cost is 18% less. So if you are blocking something, your next skill is cheaper. Get that. When you cast a Dark Magic ability, next, not using it. So these two here. Top one and number 3, 1 and 3, get them. Daedric Summoning, restore resources, magical or stamina, when one of your non-ultimate Daedric Summoning abilities ends. That includes your damage shield. So when you use it, when it's finished, you get resources back. Reduces the cost of your ultimates, obviously. Reduces your damage taken by 5% when you have a Daedric Summoning ability active. Technically speaking, when your shield is active, that counts. Increases your magic and stamina by 5%. Increases your health by 5% if you have a permanent pet. We don't. We take the first part of that buff, not the second. Storm Calling, very important. Your health, magic, and stamina recovery are enhanced by this passive. You do more physical and shock damage. And you increase your damage done against enemies by 1% for every 10% they have. Which means 10% burst extra damage up front. And then as you go lower and lower and lower, you have less and less and less. That is still more than any other class has, because that is an additional amount of damage on top of what they would normally do if they were pressing the same skills. Increase your weapon and spell damage per skill on your bar that is Sorcerer based by 108. So yes, having the Atro on the front does enhance that, as does this and this. Now, you are going to want Destro Staff passives. These are very important. If you heavy attack, the damage that happens from the pop at the end will splash and do 100% of the damage done. Yes, obviously crits are considered. You can't crit with splash damage, but you can crit the original, which will boost the splash damage. Now, also, as you channel, the damage over time for the Lightning Staff is actually very impactful, which is why it's important that we get in power and off balance. We will have more pen against enemies that are hit with Destro Staff ability, so lights, heavies, and your Wall of Elements. You will have a higher status chance for holding Destruction Staff, so either bar is fine. Your Lightning Staves increase your direct damage by 12%. We do actually have a lot of it because our light attacks, our pop at the end of the heavy, our soul wield, or wield soul, whichever way around it is, the initial landing of our ultimate, the Monolith of Storms, all these different things all count as direct, especially the splash that fires from the end of Wall of Elements. And of course, if you get a kill with the Destro ability, you will get resources back. Now, when it comes to armor, get light and medium, get all of them, you are going to want them. Even though we're only using one light, the passives are very important. If you want to use more than one light, you can do, but understand what you're going to trade off with when it comes to medium. Medium adds to our survival for resistances, obviously because they're higher than light. in their physical form, but also you get agility bonuses, reduction to cost, dodge rolling, and all that kind of stuff. You are faster and more nimble overall, and you've got a pen bonus and a crit bonus here. So both of these are relevant. We are using a soul magic skill, but you don't really need the passives. Obviously, you should unlock these anyway. They don't actually hold any relevance towards the skill. Fighter's Guild is only important if you choose to put Dawnbreaker on the bar. If you do, then of course you want to take advantage of these two. This will increase your weapon and spell damage by 3%. That's depending on the buffs and bonuses you've got. It's hard to sometimes say that this is necessarily better than the other. It should be, but it depends on the buffs you currently have. If you have low buffs, then the Great Storm Atro would sometimes be better depending on your setup. And if you have high amounts, then obviously the percentage is going to be higher. At the moment, it's very, very close. Technically, Flawless Dawnbreaker is ever so slightly more, but you aren't going to notice the difference when it comes to actual combat, especially versus the utility of Storm Atro being thrown into the room for Major Berserk. So I would go with this. But if you do choose Dawnbreaker, then of course you are going to want to get 3 ulti per kill. It's not massive, but it does make a difference overall if it's big ad pulls. Undaunted, you are going to need this one. Will give you resources back if you take synergies, and this one will give you increase to resources depending on how many different types of armor you have. We have 2, we get 2 bonuses. And I know someone at the back now screaming, if you have 1 heavy piece, probably the chest, because the highest resistances, you'll get 2% more. Yes, you will. It's not going to make you have more damage. If you want it for survival purposes, by all means do so, but you will suffer in damage and stats if you decide to change this. These are the things that some people think I'm too stupid to figure out. I know, it's exhausting. Anyway, this will give you resources back. Your lowest, in fact. We are a high elf. This will give you resources back. Your lowest one when you cast from your highest resource bar. So we've constantly got stamina coming back by using Magicka. If you channel, which you will be doing with your heavy attack, you will take 5% less damage. Yes, that is multiplicative, so it won't be exactly 5%, but it will still be a damage mitigation bonus nonetheless. This will give you maximum Magicka, highest one in the game, alongside the Breton, and this will give you weapon and spell damage of 258, which is also equivalent of that of other class races that also have weapon and spell damage. Bear in mind, you can use any race you like. Any race you like. The High Elf was better stat-wise towards the stats that we're building, but it is minimal difference with other races. It is entirely up to you. You'll still splat absolutely everything. Orc is actually a really good choice, but I would recommend that you possibly swap your stats to stamina for that purpose, because then you can scale off of those, but just make sure that you are definitely heavy attacking all the time. Choice is yours, though. High Elf all the way. Tripots we're using all day long. Medicinal use will make sure that they have their full uptime. If your potion is grey, congratulations, you're using it properly. You're benefiting from recovery bonuses. If your potion is not grey, use it as fast as you possibly can. Don't wait for your resources to go low. That is inefficient. Activate it just like any other consumable buff. Any buff you have you want to maintain, your tripots have 3 buffs attached to them that you need to keep up at all times. The burst amount that you get from the pot taken in the first place is just a bonus. You need to maintain them. Don't run out and then run completely dry and then activate it and then wonder why your skills, only 2 or 3 of them, have neutral bar again. Maintenance is key. Champion points. Quite simple, actually. So, Wrathful Strikes, Backstabber if you're behind the target, if not, Fighting Finesse, alongside Deadly Aim and Weapons Expert. All these passive ones you want to obviously get over time, unlock them in your own time, and of course, put them in. But the main 4 you want to aim for first are those. So make sure that you get 10 points into here minimum, so you can unlock Wrathful Strikes and Backstabber or Fighting Finesse, and then at least get 10 points into here, so then you can unlock Deadly Aim. Once you've done that, take your time, unlock the rest when you can. Red stuff. Haven't even put these in yet, which is why the stats are a little bit clunky. So, I'll show you what we need here. Put some points into this. 15 into there. This is just starting points, by the way. Then 10 into here, and that will unlock this tree here. This will give you a big health bonus, so a full 20, and then unlock these 2. So Bloody Renewal will give you 1.5k stamina back per kill, and Siphon and Spells will also do the same, but for Magicka. So you've got a health bonus, an armor bonus, and 2 resource bonuses when you get kills. These don't require any prerequisites, so even if you're low champion points, doesn't matter. Green Tree, really, really unnecessary for combat, to be fair. But obviously you want to unlock some of these because this is just quality of life. You do want to make sure that your charges don't get used so much. You want to make sure that your food lasts longer and your drinks last longer, and your potions have a chance to pop but not even consume one, so you've got resources and benefits for nothing. And of course, you're going to want this one, which will make you faster between fights. So when you're not in combat, that will do the job for you and make you quicker. Obviously, you want higher quality loot from chests, that would make sense. And again, the rest is up to you. It's quality of life. It really doesn't matter. Rotation. The easy part. The thing you've been waiting for. So, what do? We maintain crit surge at all times, while maintaining a banner. That's pretty much it for the most part. Maintain this, keep the banner up. If you don't have a blue circle around you, the banner fell off. If you don't have a banner sticking out of your back, your banner fell off. There is a visual bug sometimes where you can't see that, but just keep an eye on it. Basically, wall of elements on the ground, with liquid lightning or lightning flood on the ground. That synergy is yours to take whenever you want it. And yes, the fighters, no, not the fighters guild, the undaunted skill line does actually apply its resource return for you doing so. So again, that on the ground and that on the ground. The rest of the time, all you need to do is heavy attack and then use Wheeled Soul. Food ran out. Beautiful. So, wall down on the ground, lightning on the ground, heavy attack, Wheeled Soul, heavy attack, Wheeled Soul, and you maintain it. Now, there is one more thing you need to add into the mix, which is your minor force. So, buff number 1 with your banner. Before you get into a fight, activate this. As soon as you're in the fight, when you put down that wall of elements and swap to your front bar, it's going to fire. There is your minor force. There was your explosion of lightning, and now you can put this down. So, treat it like 2 rotations. One that you need to maintain indefinitely, and the other one that you basically swap between. So, to make it simple again, obviously, Crit Surge needs to be running, and so does your banner. Also, it needs to be running as well. But the trick is, this on the ground, and this on the ground. While heavy attacking 3 times, with Wheeled Soul in between. Once your third one is fired, you light attack, lightning, swap bars, apply the buff you need, wall of elements, swap back again. Use your ulti as and when it's ready. So, if you were to split this up, your main rotation is basically Wall of Elements, Lightning, Heavy Attack, and Soul Wield 3 times. Or Wield Soul. I'm never going to get that right way around. Should we check? Shocking Soul. Brilliant. We changed the name of it, didn't we? Because we customized it. Anyway. Lightning and Wall. Heavy, Shock, Heavy, Shock, Heavy, Shock. Maintain that forever. Every first rotation, Crit Surge. Every second rotation, Ulf Silds. So the build is quite simple. Maintain your buff timers, and at the same time, keep your dots down in heavy attack and use a single target hit. Now, bear in mind, obviously there are settings that you can change. If you go into your options and you go into combat, there are settings that allow for ability timers on or off, on front or back bar. That will help you a lot. Because as you can see here, if I put down Wall of Elements and some buffs and bonuses here, some skills, they've got timers on them. If you look at that yellow bar above number 2, that's telling me how long it is until my back bar skill runs out. That goes to 0. Oh, it's gone. I need to get back there and reapply it. Same with the front bar as well. They have a timer while you're on the same bar. They have a yellow bar going down while you're on the other one. So even Crit Surge right now. 32 seconds, 31, 30. Continuing with a bar when I swap bars so I can keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on those. Those timers are essential. They help you a lot. Damage numbers wise, absolutely fucking irrelevant, to be fair. If you can use it, you'll enjoy it, you'll splat everything. If you can't use it, then obviously practice. But for argument's sake, target dummy over there, if you're using the single target version, which is on the website, look about 100k. If you're looking at this version, crap tons more AoE, capable of all the content in the game, way more DPS than any DPS check legitimately requests. The game, not players. You're looking at about 85. Maybe 90 if you get really, really lucky with crits, but generally speaking, a good average of about 85. Which is way more than you need in any content. You can go for other stuff that is glass cannon and not themed as much as you like, but if that's what you're going for, you don't want this. There's plenty more of that out there, and there's even some on the channel. The Easy Sorc and its design, ever since 2017, has stayed intact with its original version. It is Lightning, it is Sorcerer, it is class-based and full of class identity, so everything you need is here, but it's evolved for the current year. So, hopefully that helped, and now we're going to get into the fashion. Now, the fashion is relatively simple, although some of the parts are not that easy to get. They're tied to achievements, and some you might want to go into different areas of the game for, but regardless, wear what you like. But we are showing off with the Pit Demon hat in light. The whole setup is the Chaplain of the Worm, and of course, the hands are slightly different. These are Waking Flame. Now, the staff is back to what we always used on the Easy Sorc ever since we had the ability to change the visuals of our fashion, and that is the Ebon Shadow Staff. Alongside the Alhambris staff on the back bar, regular or opal doesn't make any difference. It looks cool either way. So, hopefully that helped. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. And of course, if you want more of this kind of stuff, you want to see Sorcerer stuff, there's plenty of builds on the channel. There's one up there, which is the Lazy Sorc. And of course, there's guides to the Infinite Archive, which will send you into the place where you can get the 2 sets that belong to this build. There's also a VMA guide on the channel as well, if you want to get the staff for the back bar. Very simple, keep Wall of Elements down, it does more damage. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.